any of you got that email saying that Luisa Via Roma owed you money, it's a scam. Hey guys, I thought that I would come on here and do a fraud update. So for any of you, if you're my Patreons, you're going to know about this. I told you about this about a month ago, but something new has happened that, and I wasn't going to talk about this on YouTube, but it's the new thing that has happened that is like PSA, personal safety advice, and I really thought in the end, okay, I feel like I do need to talk about this on here. So I'm going to tell you what's happened to me recently, and the newest thing that is the thing that I really felt urgently I needed to tell you all about, because I will not be the only one of us. If you have shopped on Luisa Via Roma before, it's about that, okay? So keep watching for that. Okay, so what happened, just to give you a bit of background, and again, as I say, Patreons, you're already gonna know, it's gonna be old news, but then, as I say, I feel like I need to explain this first bit for the second bit to make sense. What month are we in? August. Back in July, I was out with David and we were in the car driving around, and we're in the countryside, right? So the signal around here is like atrocious. And we're driving around and I got a text message through from Barclaycard, and it said, we need to contact you. We believe there's been unauthorized use on your credit card with us. And then it said, we're going to message you from, and it had this mobile phone number. It wasn't like an 0800 or a, well, even those can be scammy now, but it didn't look like an authentic Barclays number. It was a mobile phone number. And I got this text, and we're in the car, and I'm panicking, right? Because when I get text from Barclaycard, at the top of the screen, it always says Barclaycard, and it's very hard to fake that. And every month it tells me, like, here's your statement, go and click to go and view statement or whatever. And it had this message saying, oh, we're going to contact you from a mobile number, had landed in that thread. So I'm kind of like, on one hand, I'm like, this must be real because whoever sent it has come through to the authentic Barclaycard thread on my phone. But then on the other hand, I was like, why would Barclays contact me from a mobile number? That makes no sense. So anyway, I then get immediately after a text message from this mobile phone number, which appeared in its own thread, because obviously it's not Barclays, it's a mobile phone number, and I'd never had a message from this phone number before. And it said, we need you to confirm whether the following transactions were you or not. And it had someone trying to pay off their own credit card. And it also had, which I now realise what that was, because I think on Patreon, I forgot to mention that, because in the text they sent me, it was like Visa payment something or other. It had something and then a number. Apparently that was them trying to pay off their own credit card. But it also had that they went to Fortnum & Mason online and tried to spend over £300 at Fortnum & Mason. So as I say, I've got this text and this mobile number. I start panicking, and then my phone rings, and it's like an 0330 number or something. And I didn't answer it because I thought, oh my God, if this is some massive elaborate scam, I'm not going to answer that phone number. And I never answer numbers that I do not know. I never do it. So anyway, David said to me, we're still driving around, we're far away from home, and David said, you need to get on the phone to Barclaycard right now and find out if this is them, and if it is, what is going on. And I still feel it now. I've never been so frustrated and angry in my life, because I couldn't have answered that phone call anyway, because the signal was so dire. It was like I had 1 bar of 4G and I couldn't phone Barclays. And I couldn't even answer that phone number if I'd wanted to answer it, because the line would have gone dead. But anyway, they left a voice message, which, you know, now it transcribes it. So you haven't actually got to go and listen to the message. It types it out to you. And I read the typed out transcribed version, and it said, like, this is Barclays. We're calling to check whether these transactions are yours, blah, blah, blah. I think it was like was it a credit card or a overdraft they tried to pay off? I don't know, it was something like that. So anyway, we're like far from home. I've got the literal shakes in the car, thinking, if this is real, like, I feel like I want to talk to Barclays urgently. And we managed to find this garden centre. And we pulled into the car park and I got 2 bars of 4G. I got enough that I could call. And I phoned Barclays, and, you know, the signal was terrible. I could hardly hear him, but, you know, we persevered. And the guy I spoke to said, and I phoned the number off the back of the Barclay card. Okay, I always do that. I only phone the number off the back of the actual physical card. And he said to me, yes, this is us. We're trying to get hold of you. And I said, well, why are you doing it from a mobile number? Like, no one's going to answer that. No one's going to take that seriously. And he didn't really have an answer for that anyway. Or I don't think he knew or understood, or I don't know. Anyway, he said to me, he said, someone's trying to pay something off, like some debt. But he said that also they've been to Fortnum & Mason and they'd spent like £304 and something pence. And he said, was that you? And I said, absolutely not, like, not me at all. And he said, right. He said, well, for whatever reason, and I don't know what the reason was, but he said, we blocked both payments. And he said they actually, I remember this, they tried to pay off the debt twice, Fortnum & Mason once. And he said, we've blocked all of the payments. And he said, your card is now frozen. You cannot use it. And he said, now I'm speaking to you and I know that you didn't do it. He said, I've cancelled that card entirely and we're going to send you out a new one. And when you get the new one, to make it work, you've got to go and put the pin in somewhere, buy something small, put the pin in, whatever, just to get it to work. And what was really interesting is when I said, how has this happened? He alluded to it being Apple Pay. He said, have you got the card on Apple Pay? And I said, yeah. And I said, not only that, I don't carry my wallet out with me because I have Apple Pay. Like, I don't take my cards with me. I can't tell you the last time I used an actual physical card to pay for something. I always use Apple Pay. So he said, okay, with the cancellation of this card, it's also going to get cancelled off your Apple Pay and it will delete itself, which it did. And can you imagine the panic? Although he said to me, he goes, it's all right, it's fine. You know, we noticed the fraudulent stuff. Nothing's gone through. But you panic, don't you? And you're like, my mind was, how on earth have they got my details? And how have they got the last 3 digits on the card? How do they know the name on the card? And why was it that it was blocked? Was it that they got the billing address wrong? Or what was it about those payments that made Barclays go, this isn't Sophie, we're going to cancel the payments? And again, he couldn't tell me. He was like, there was a reason why it was blocked. I don't know why he couldn't just tell me, because that would have been really helpful for in future. And so I can tell all of you guys, like, beware of whatever. But as I say, if I was going around the internet typing my credit card details into websites, I'd get it. Or if I was going into stores, I'd get it. You know, things happen. But Apple Pay, I thought that was all encrypted and secure. But that's what he was alluding to, that it was Apple Pay. And I believed him because, as I say, I don't use that physical card anywhere. Can't tell you the last time I used that card anywhere. So that happened, and that was really, really frightening. And even now, I still feel on edge about it, and I keep logging into that account just to see if any payments have come out that aren't me. I actually need to do it again now. I feel panicked just thinking about it. So that was that. But then what happened? Now, when was this? The week before last, and this is what I want to tell you guys, because I don't know if it's linked to that or if this is a completely separate thing. But I got an email from Luisa Via Roma. Let me know if you got the same email, okay? Got this email from Luisa Via Roma. and it said, and I used to shop with them a lot when I was sort of in my luxury days, you know, not really so much now. And it said, we owe you, we've done like an audit recently, and we owe you, it was a little bit over €500. And it was, and do you know what, at the time I thought that could be feasible because I used to buy a lot and sometimes I'd return a lot. And, you know, sometimes when you're returning a lot and you lose track of, did I get that refund back again? I can't remember. All of this. So when they said they owed me this money, I thought, well, that's not beyond the realm of possibility. It's unusual that they're sending this, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Anyway, I didn't trust it. And it said, if you got 14 days, we need to know your payment details so we can pay it back. Here's a link, button, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, when I saw the email, I clicked on the from name at the top, okay? And it was legit Luisa Via Roma. It was customer service at luisaviaroma.com, all spelt correctly, everything. But I'd still thought, I'm not going to click anything at all until I have, you know, until I've done my due diligence. So I go on the actual Luisa Via Roma website and I wrote to customer service and I included a screenshot of this email. And I said, I just want to check if this is definitely you. And you know, the weirdest thing was, to this day, they never wrote back, Luisa Via Roma. And I got an automated email after I'd sent off my email. And when I checked the from name, the actual from email, it was the same from email as this email I had saying they owed me over €500. So I sat there and I thought, this has got to be real because, and I'm quite tech savvy, you know, I'm all over this scam stuff. And I just thought this has got to be real because it's literally the same email address, no typos, no nothing, same email address. When I copy and pasted them both into Word and looked at them, exactly the same. Then I hadn't heard from Luisa Via Roma and this 14-day thing was pressing on, and I thought, okay, I'll try it. And I clicked the link and again, it took me through to Luisa Via Roma website, and it said they wanted your name, your billing address, the card that you wanted this money to be put back onto. It wanted the full thing, like the 3 digits on the back. It wanted the full thing. And I filled it in, didn't I? Filled it in. And before I pressed enter, I looked at the URL and it was Luisa Via Roma spelt wrong. It was Luisaviaroma. And it was just something in me that was like, double check that URL before you click enter on what you have typed in here. And I double checked it and I saw there was 1 letter out. It was so well done. It was 1 letter out in the URL on the web page it had taken me to. So it had taken the design from Luisa Via Roma and made it look like their website. It made it look like their website, but if you looked at the URL, there was 1 character wrong. And I quickly shut down the page, didn't press enter. Then I go to Barclays. This was on my debit card, okay? And I know, okay, with a credit card, fraud, you're covered. Debit card, a lot harder, okay? A lot harder to get protected. And I quickly went to my debit card. I froze it in the app. And then I reported it as like fraud, lost, stolen, whatever, cancelled the card, ordered a new one. I've now got the new one. And I wanted to do this video because if any of you got that email saying that Luisa Via Roma owed you money, it's a scam. It's a massive scam. Log in now, check your card, literally delete that card, report it as lost, stolen, fraud, get it shut down and order a new card. Because guys, that was a massive scam. That was a huge scam. And I don't even want to put the email in here in case there's any of my personal, because I don't want to get any more fraud done. So I'm not going to put a copy of the email in. I did think about it, but I was like, no, in case there's like some incriminating information on there that gets me into more bother, I'm not going to do it. But if you got that email from Luisa Via Roma saying that they owed you money, it's a scam, they don't. And here's the other thing that I'm going to lead on to. So David is a tech guy, right? And I was sat outside when I clicked the link and was about to press enter and send the scammers all my information. And I'd shut down the page, deleted it, and I said, David, I've done something incredibly stupid. He said, what? And he knew about this email because I told him days before. And I said, I pressed the link. And he looked at me, he said, you didn't, because there's malware as well sometimes if you click links and then they can view everything you're doing on your phone. Don't wish to scare people, but these people are advanced. He said, you didn't click that link. I said, I did click that link. And I said, the only reason why I clicked it is I kept double checking the from email and it was definitely Luisa Via Roma. But I said, when I clicked the link, before I hit enter, I double checked the URL and the URL was spelt wrong. And I said, I deleted the page, shut down the page, cleared the page, blah, blah, blah. And he said, right. He had a look at the email again. He said, they've been hacked. Now, this is all alleged, guys, okay? Luisa Via Roma, when I contacted them, never wrote back to me about this. But the reason why I would say this is likely and possible is because the scammy email actually came from their legit email address. Now, unless the scammers have done something clever, they could have done, but we double checked it, and David did all of his checks, and he is like very, very tech savvy. This is what he does. He was like, you're right, it's actually come from their servers, their internal systems. But he said the link that it goes through to is not them, but the email has come through from them. And he said to me, this looks like they've been hacked, because that's how the scammers, they get access to the database, they email through the internal email account, blah, blah, blah. So God willing, nothing has happened. I think I managed to shut it down in time. As I say, cancelled my card, etc. Never heard back from Luisa Via Roma. They never contacted me back, which I think is terrible. But I think if this is true, and it's, to me, it's looking like it is, because why would they not write me back? If this was legit, if this was them saying we actually do owe you this money, they'd have written me back, okay? If they don't want to acknowledge or admit that something has potentially happened, alleged, okay, it's not guaranteed, I'm just telling you my story, they're not going to want to tell me that, are they? Because that's like data breach. And I could sue for them losing my data, because in the email that I got, I never use my married name. And in the email I got, it used my email address, which is not a public email, and it also knew the name on Luisa Via Roma that I use with that email address. So someone out there has got that information. Someone out there has got the information of my email address and what name I use on Luisa Via Roma in conjunction with that email address. Someone knows. And very concerning. So as I say, if any of you got that email, let me know in the comments. What did you do? It didn't even get flagged by my spam because it came from their legit email address. So let me know, did you get it? How much did they claim they owed you? Did you click the link? Did you submit your details? Did you contact Luisa Via Roma to double check it? If you did they ever get back to you? Let me know. Let me know. But that's my fraud update story, and I hope there will be no more. I hope that is it, done and dusted now. That's me done and dusted when it comes to fraud. But guys, stay safe. These scammers are very, very sophisticated now. I don't even know how they are doing it anymore. But stay safe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.